So it's already confirmed, but it looks like the company Hyperkin, who makes retro clone consoles of retro video game consoles, is going to be making a brand new video game console, and this time we have a clone console of the N64, so it's some pretty exciting news since I don't think there is a lot of clone N64s on the market. And take a look at some video online of this product because we already have some footage of this thing. Now keep in mind it is in the early stages of development, so they did say that they are working on this to make this a finished, polished product, so that's very nice. And in this video you can see some of the popular games being played, and it looks like it is going to be playing some of the most popular N64 games, whether we're talking about something like Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda, Super Smash Brothers, 007. It is going to be playing some of the most popular games, so that's good. Now, we don't know for sure how many of the original N64 library is it actually going to be playing, so keep that in mind of this product. But at least you guys know when it comes to the most popular games the N64 was known for, it is going to be playing those type of games, so that's some pretty exciting news. And it looks like overall I like the design of this thing. I also like the fact that in the box they are going to be giving you a replica N64 controller true to the original experience, so that's all fine and dandy. But it does look like this thing is going to have one major flaw or one major drawback to this actual retro clone console of the N64 by Hyperkin. The one problem this looks like it is going to have is the fact that this thing is actually going to be, unfortunately, it is going to be emulation based rather than something like a system on a chip, so it's not going to be true to the original experience since it is emulation. And some people already confirmed that this thing is going to be emulation based. It's actually running MuPin 64, and since this thing is running MuPin 64, a lot of people may be very disappointed about this product, and it may not be for them, because I know a lot of purists may not even want to buy this product knowing this product is emulation based rather than like a system on a chip that's pretty much trying to replicate the original hardware, so that's pretty unfortunate. But I don't think it's for the people who are purists of video games. If you're a purist of video games, most likely you are going to be playing on original hardware. That's the way it is. You may be asking yourself as well, if you never owned a retro clone console of a retro console, why would you actually want to buy something like this? Well, the main reason you'd want to buy something like this that's actually a replica of the original hardware is the fact that, well, you do get benefits of a lot of these different clone consoles that are trying to be replicas. Like, for instance, you get like an HDMI out so you can play it on HD TVs. You also get things like upscaling and like things like 720p, 1080p, and you also just get all these different filters as well, and that's why you want something like this. Now, the good news with this product itself, it also is confirmed that it looks like it is going to be running through HDMI, and on top of that, it is going to be upscaled to 720p at least, so that's very nice. You are going to be getting a cleaner signal out of your games than you would be getting anyway if you were to play something like the original hardware that's only like, I think, 480p or standard definition when it comes to the N64, so that's a benefit to buy this thing. But just knowing this thing runs off of emulation is not a good thing, and like I said, a lot of purists are not going to be happy with this thing, and I don't think purists are going to buy this. I think it might be for a lot of people who just want a spare N64 laying around. They don't necessarily care about emulation, and then on top of that, they want an easy way to play this on a modern day flat screen, whether we're talking about like HDMI, whether we're talking about ease of use and things like this. That's definitely going to appeal to those people who just want a second N64, and I am actually glad companies are realizing that there is a need and there is a reason for these clone consoles, whether they're emulation based like this one or whether they're actually clone consoles true to the original like a system on a chip, because, well, we know one day all these retro clone consoles, whether it's like Nintendo, whether it's something from Sega, they are all going to eventually die and eventually stop working. So it is nice we are going to have something close to the original that will feel like the original hardware. Sure, emulation is not close to the real hardware and it's not exactly the real hardware, but it is definitely better than playing something like an emulator on your PC or an emulator on your phone or something like that, because, well, it does make you feel like you are kind of playing the original hardware in some aspects, and some people really want that experience, somewhat of the original experience, so I don't blame people for going out and trying to buy this product. Now, We also found out that this was running the Mupin 64 emulator for the N64, because there is actually a photo floating around the internet of Luigi's Raceway on this thing actually running, and you can see in the background there's actually some emulator imperfections. Keep in mind, again, like I said earlier, this is in the prototype stages of this thing being built, and they did say by the time this thing is officially released on the market, they should have a lot of this emulation type deals actually fixed, and there shouldn't be any problems. But basically what's going on is in Luigi's Raceway, if you look at the Jumbotron in the background as you're racing, you can see that there is some imperfections, and somebody noticed that this wasn't actually the original game being played, and that's how they actually figured out that this was emulation instead of something like a system on a chip or something that's supposed to be true to the original hardware. Like I said, hopefully they will fix this, but honestly also this should kind of worry you in some aspects, because we're talking about Hyperkin, and some of their products are okay, but some of their products can be hit or miss when it comes to Hyperkin. And then on top of that, since it's emulation, even though this does come out on the market, some games just flat out may not be compatible with this clone console from Hyperkin, and then some games may be compatible, but you may run into things like glitching, audio problems, frame rates, all that jazz, because emulation is known to have some problems, and a lot of times emulation is not spot on and it's not perfect, so that's actually unfortunate that it is running emulation. But overall, like I said, I'm very happy that Hyperkin is actually going out of their way to make an N64 clone console, because I don't think there's that many N64 clone consoles on the market, and I really do think that it is time that we actually got one. So this is very interesting and this is very exciting. Unfortunately for me personally, I don't think this product is for me for two reasons. First of all, if I wanted to do emulation, why would I buy this box to just do emulation? Sure, it plugs into a TV or to a monitor, but for me personally, I don't have a reason for this. I'd rather just do emulation on like my PC or my phone or another device that can do emulation flat out, so there's really no need for me to go out and buy this thing. And if I really wanted to play N64 games the way they were meant, of course, I would just buy a used N64 and play my games on an original used N64. That's just the way it is, because I know I'll be playing games the way they were meant to be played on an original N64 with no problems, no audio problems, no frame rate problems, no graphical problems, no hiccups, no glitches, no nothing. So that's the way it is. But I do think there is a market for this, and this is a very interesting product. Anyway, guys, this is Wayne from My Tech News, signing out.